The Love Producer. A Bachelor producer's unscripted journey from reality TV to her own happily ever after. In this episode of Men Talk 2, MT2, we're joined by Julie LaPlaca, former lead producer and one of the creative forces behind The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. For years, she helped shape one of television's most iconic reality franchises, crafting unforgettable moments and guiding love stories from behind the scenes. But the story she never expected to produce was her own. On Men Talk 2, The Love Producer, Julie reveals what really happens off camera in reality TV, the pressures of building televised romance, and how an unexpected relationship with former Bachelor star Peter Weber changed the course of her life. In this conversation with host David Krieff and love and sex expert Dr. Ava Cadell, she opens up about the truth behind the headlines, the emotional highs and lows of producing one of the world's biggest shows, why she chose to tell her story now, and what she's learned about love, vulnerability, and finding her own happily ever after. Please welcome Julie LaPlaca, author of The Love Producer. This is part 2.
I personally think that giving and receiving love is the meaning of life. And that's what I've dedicated my mission to, is helping people to love themselves. And I think you're doing the same thing, right, Julie? You're all about self-love.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought I was supposed to give like a real short answer with like fill in the blank. So I was like, state of being. But yeah, no, this idea that like when you finally go on that inner journey, when you finally get to a place where you fully love yourself, then you embody that, you're in that love vibration on your day to day. And if you could approach, at the end of my book, I talk about we could all be love producers, and it's not easy. We all have our wounds. We all have our triggers. It's so easy to come with anger. If someone cuts you off, you get angry, or,
Right.
someone screams at you, whatever, you react with anger or fear or whatever. But on a deeper level, that's something within you. And when you could go within and find out what those wounds and triggers are, work through them, transcend them, then you become like a vibrational being of love. And when you could approach everything in your day to day from this place of love, then that's like, to me, that's exactly what life is about, right? When we're born as babies, we are literally beings of unconditional love. And then we get conditioned. We get conditioned with our parents' example of love and you see that as what love is, right? We get conditioned from all our life experiences and trauma and all of that. So all of a sudden these conditions get in the way of unconditional love, which is what we all are, which is what this journey is all about. And yeah, I think once we are able to work through all that, then we produce love in our day to day, whether it's romantic or with, the barista at Starbucks, just always coming from a place of
I
love.
always thought it was unmanly, guys. I thought it for a long time, and I always heard about this, like to self-love, and I kind of brushed it aside, like, oh, I'm too tough. I don't need that. And my son sort of educated me a little bit more. One of my sons educated me a little bit more about it. And I realize now that it's so important to love yourself.
Yeah.
But we don't think that way. We're brought up to think, don't even think about that. That's some sort of esoteric concept. And no man does that. And, I hope that you can also convince people in a way through your experience, because you're getting a lot of exposure now, and Dr. Ava has made a career of this. But why did I feel that way for so long? It's only recently I even realized self-love is not a pussy term.
Because you have permission now. A lot of men seek counseling because they really just want permission to love and be loved the way that they want. I mean, there's different kinds of love. There's different kinds of intimacy. There's different kinds of romance. There's different kinds of sex. And knowledge equals power. In fact, there's a quote by the Dalai Lama who says, if you want to be immortal, share your knowledge and your wisdom. So I think that's really...
And your fears and your... all that.
All that, yes. It's beautiful to trust
someone
someone enough.
Other men, we want to watch sports, and we're competitive. I mean, how I do this with my one son especially. I can talk to him that way. he's really the first, even though it's a difficult relationship sometimes, he's like one of the first people I can talk to about these issues because he's looking into them as a 32-year-old.
Right.
My
And
father would never talk to me about that.
I will say that was something, one of the beautiful sides of working at The Bachelor and The Bachelorette is that, you know, on The Bachelorette, it's like 30 men and they're in this sort of social experiment, but they are spending hours on end in the interview chair being forced to talk about their feelings and their
Right.
emotions.
Right, right.
And it becomes, I think, like, some of them come in, it's really amazing to see the transformation. They come in all macho, and giving one word answers, and by the end they're crying and, releasing stuff they've probably held in for years.
Right.
And
It's
that,
torture. I'm telling you, us guys are in a sense of torture because we don't even think that way until maybe you're in a place where you can't get out, you can't make phone calls, you're secluded. That was probably the best thing these guys have ever experienced mentally.
yeah, 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 it's pretty
Interesting.
powerful.
So, Julie, and this sentence, healing taught me.
Oh, I mean, healing taught me to f fully love myself. And it's crazy because I've always been a confident person. I've always felt like I love myself, but I didn't realize like on a deeper level, like the things that I hadn't actually fully healed and confronted. And so it really fully taught me to, yeah, to love myself.
It's beautiful. And that's what you're teaching women now, right?
Yeah,
It's fantastic. You're
exactly.
sharing that.
Thank you.
What relationship lesson should every woman know? There's a lot of myths about love and sex and intimacy. First of all, what is the biggest myth you think that women still have? And then how can they learn from you to overcome the myth?
Okay, let's see. What is the biggest myth? The biggest myth in relationships. I mean, I guess again, it's like, to me, every relationship is there for our own inner self and working and growth, right? And so when your partner pisses you off, you want to put all the blame on him, right? Maybe that's it. And it's like,
That's the way
ooh,
we feel, I will tell you that.
yeah, yeah. It's like it's your fault and men suck and why are they doing this? And there's no good men out there. What is going on? And
We hate hearing this time and time again.
yeah. And like, no, there's so many wonderful men out there. Like I would say I love men. And so again, like turning that inward to be like, oh, what is actually happening with you? Like, why are you responding like that? If you could always turn it back to yourself and like why you're reacting that way, why you're reacting, putting the blame on them, like sit with that and see where that's coming from. I think a
Yeah,
lot of it has to do with like our own upbringings, right? Like,
definitely.
yeah,
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 we're programmed to do many things and our beliefs are programmed. But the good news is we can change that no matter how old we are. We can change the entire scaffolding of our brain cells.
yeah.
So,
Your
David,
hypnotherapy has been super powerful for me.
yes, I love hypnotherapy and
You're
creative
both hypnotherapists, by the way.
visualization. Sorry?
I think you're both hypnotherapists. Am I correct,
We
Ava?
are. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
hypnotherapy. Okay, great.
Yeah, and I give away all of my hypnosis and all of my um, meditations. I just want to share them with everybody. So I just
So
give them all away
wonderful.
complimentary. Um,
Cool.
so, how would you define happily ever after?
Aw.
Yeah, the Cinderella story.
A lot of women still believe that their Prince Charming is going to come and save them.
I believe they will eventually
So
if
you
you're
think you're a
clear.
Prince Charming, right, David?
You know,
Again, I mean, happily ever after to me is you. I hate. I know it sounds cliche, but it's you loving yourself, and actually the last line of my books, may you live happily ever after and realize there's no such thing as the end.
I know.
And to me, happily ever after is yeah, again, it's this there's no end. We are just all we have is this present moment right now. So let's be happy and engaged and love this moment because it's a beautiful gift. And we get so caught up in like the future and we hold on to these stories of the past, right? You're writing, oh, the what ifs, like I was doing, I was holding on to like, oh, what the what ifs of this and should I have done that, da da da, and then like the future, ah, my ticking clock and am I ever going to meet it? And all we have is right now.
Very
This is
well
Oh,
said.
beautiful.
this
You
is
know,
the reality.
that takes away the pressure right there.
Yeah, and let's just be happy in this moment because God, what a gift it is that
We're
we are here and
alive.
breathing and alive.
And it
Yeah.
will pass. Everything passes. Everything's temporary. And in the end, we're going to be thinking about the loving memories that we created, not our career or our finances. So we should be creating those loving memories with ourselves and with other people who we love or admire in our lives.
Yeah, yeah, and I talk a lot about I realized I was for so long I was the supporting character for everyone else, right?
Yes.
Quite literally at The Bachelor, writing other people's love stories, and even just with like in friends and friendships and things, it's always I felt like I was very much always like going in and trying to like rescue and help other people and help their stories. And there's something important about like fully choosing yourself first and putting yourself first. Sometimes you have to be a little selfish in order to get where you want to get, still be a loving, compassionate person, but setting boundaries, right?
Oh,
Setting
yes.
boundaries, not letting everyone drain your energy, things like that, that I had to learn. And that's part of again embodying your leading lady energy, your leading man
Mhm.
energy, and being in that state of happily ever after. You have to take inventory of what you want your life to look like.
Do you guys think that, because I know, Julie, you and I have been in situations, and Ava as well, but I've seen you cry, okay, about certain things that were very emotional topics too. Now, men don't really do this that much. Is it normal, Ava, for a man to also, because for Julie, it was totally normal. Okay. And she, when she expresses it, I know it's a good thing. I can feel it. But for a man to do that I think it's a bit harder of a thing. Is that a good thing, guys?
Well, I mean, not
Would
if
you like that
all
in a
the time,
relationship?
but yeah, if he shows
If there's a reason
compassion
for it.
and empathy, it's a beautiful thing to watch. One of the exercises I do with couples where they both cry, but definitely the man, is when one partner asks the other, "May I look into your soul by looking into your eyes?" And if the partner says yes, then the other one tells them exactly what they see. And I've seen so many tears shed because, like you said, David, when the man is, unveils his mask and reveals his his vulnerability, women love him more. And I think men also start to love themselves and accept themselves as the energy of yin and yang. Just like Julie said, we both have masculine and feminine energy, and we should embrace both. And we should embrace our differences with our partner too. But crying is a beautiful emotion that we should share. In long-term relationships, it's a positive aspect.
Yeah.
Well, I like to do that. Yesterday, I was at a party with my probably dearest friend, of many years out here, and he turned 75. And I've never seen it really. I've seen him get emotional, but he speaks in front of tens of thousands of people, and he's very successful guy and all this stuff. And just his group of family and small group of friends. And when he blew out the candles, and it was so beautiful because and then he did a little speech. And he was so tricked up. He goes, you are the group that have enriched my life. And that's where he sort of broke up in front of everybody. And it was really one of the most beautiful speeches I had ever heard, because this guy is a tough guy. He's got huge muscles. He works out for 30, 40, whatever, every year since he's born, I think. And I just thought that was so beautiful. And he caught his breath, and then he said, these are the memories. Each of us have memories. I have memories with each of you. And he was really gasping again. He went into a second beginning rolling of crying. And it was just like, thank you. He said, thank you. But he was caught up in that moment. So it's about age or necessarily success or anything. Like you said, at the end of the day, what is your legacy? It's not about how much money you had. On your deathbed, you're going to be thinking about the people you love and revere your entire life. And I don't think enough people generally think that. Definitely, I don't think men think about that as much. So I was really pleased to see that.
And I think as men get older, they see that more.
Yes.
They appreciate their partner more. And I was saying in the beginning, love changes all the time. So if one of the partners becomes sick, you can still have lots of intimacy, but not necessarily have, wild sex. So it changes, I believe. And Julie, what is one relationship lesson that you tell your women that will empower them?
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment with more conversation. Right after a quick word from our sponsors. This is Men Talk 2.
Pilates Pro Chair Max combines the sculpting power of Pilates with easy, effective cardio exercise workout videos. Available on demand anywhere. A Pilates machine designed to help you get a leaner, stronger, and more flexible body. Engineered for all fitness levels, it targets every muscle group with low-impact workouts that deliver the highest results. Work your arms and entire body together or separately, making every workout tailored to your needs. Are you ready to transform your body and elevate your fitness routine from the comfort of your home? Take the first step towards a leaner, healthier, happier you.
Build and shape your glutes in less time. Looking to tone your glutes and improve your overall fitness level? The Booty Bridge is perfect for at-home workouts. This simple device can help you achieve amazing results. Designed for all fitness levels, Booty Bridge is easy to use, so you'll be able to get a great workout even if you're not a fitness expert. The Booty Bridge is portable, so you can take it with you wherever you go and easily fold it to stow away at home. Build a beach-worthy booty. This is Booty Bridge.
All right, we're back. Let's jump right back to the conversation.
So it changes, I believe. And Julie, what is one relationship lesson that you tell your women that will empower them?
Especially with Peter, I think you could elaborate a little bit, only because that really seemed to be one of your life lessons here.
Mm-hmm.
I had never spent any time reflecting on any of my relationships. I just hadn't. Even when my 5-year relationship ended, I just dove into my career. So I never took the time to even process and fully heal from that. And so to me, again, it was the lesson again is just,
You're kind of tough, by the way. You're like a guy, okay? And you're such a feminine woman. I know that. And I've seen you emote, but in the world of business, you are tough shit. Okay. So there's no question about it. So,
well, I'd be like that post relationships too. I'd be like,
right. Nothing.
I don't care. I'm better off without them. I'd always do that.
That's survival too, right?
Their loss. Again, I trust the universe and their loss. If they're not choosing me, fine, I'm okay. And I move on. I'd actually move on pretty quickly.
Like immediately sometimes?
not immediately. I mean, I would cry for a while, like a month.
Okay,
I think men, I think women, I actually think women, here's maybe my list. I think women start to mourn it before it ends. I don't know. Like for me, like I always kind of, I think on a deeper level, I knew like my 5-year relationship was probably going to end because he wasn't giving me, but I was staying in it just because I don't know why, I don't know. Like it was serving me, I guess. I thought it was.
Why is she
Um,
staying in it, Ava? And why do we stay in the relationships for 5 years or 10 years? In my case, 20 years. Why do we do that?
Well, we do it because we're comfortable. We do it because usually the good outweighs the bad, but as soon as the bad outweighs the good, then we know that we have to end it. But conflict is very difficult for people, especially women. I mean, even I have, not been able to fire somebody for years. But
yeah,
I mean, right? It's
yes,
You're
yes. And
waiting
this
for the right time. And I often manifest that they leave first
is,
because there's something bigger and better to go to.
Then you
totally. And
win both ways.
this is yeah, this is what I mentioned at the end of my book too. It's like with Peter, I was holding on to the story and holding on to like the what ifs. And I'm like, I just need to talk to him. I've never just had like a vulnerable conversation about my own feelings. And it goes on the flip side too, with my 5-year relationship. Like I knew he had a fear of like marriage and forever. Like there were little things like he'd say throughout the relationship, and I knew that. And I just like held in my needs and what I needed to keep the relationship moving forward. Probably because on a deeper level, I wasn't ready to, right? You realize you attract mirrors. But at the time, I also like, I just had a hard time having that vulnerable conversation of like, where do you really see us going? Like what, and even let's talk about those fears and where they come from. Yeah, sometimes you get very comfortable and you just kind of go about your days and you have the same old conversation. How was your day? What'd you eat? Whatever. Let's watch a show. And it's hard to have those like deeper, more difficult conversations. Whether it's I love you and I want to be with you, or I'm not feeling happy in this relationship anymore. Here is what I need. Can we grow and change together, or have we grown apart? And it's okay. If we've grown apart, then like, again, that I think that's a blessing, and better to once you realize that. I also tell people to trust their intuition because usually our intuition knows, I think of
But aren't we like, what if it all works out? Right? We try to think that way. What if it all works out?
we write the happy endings, right? That's a lot about my book. I was like writing these different happy ending scenarios. Um, and it could all work out,
But
sure.
I mean, our parents have done this. A lot of our parents have done this where they're married. My parents married 67 years. Was there always perfect? No. I mean, I was there. It
Do you
was
know
never.
what their secret was?
I think their secret was they truly loved each other.
I think it's more than that. I think there's 5 ingredients.
And also, by the way, my
Yes.
mom said this, I'll just mention. She said to me in that period of time, it wasn't like we just had a conversation about this. It wasn't like particularly our period of time, which may or may not be different. You'd have to weigh in. But she said the relationship was 51-49 in his favor. And that 1% makes a big deal. But she accepted that part. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, he never wanted to lose her. And in fact, when she had breast cancer, he traveled far and beyond to fix that. And she had breast cancer 50 years ago. So she's doing well. She turns 90 in March. But he was there and never wanted her to die. He would rather have died first, which he did.
Well, he was really committed. But what I see in relationships that last a long time are 5 elements. And one is friendship. Your partner should be your best friend who you can rely on with your life. The next is trust. We all want to trust our partner, completely. And then respect. We want to respect them exactly the way they are, not what we think they'll be
I'm
in the
writing these
future.
down because this is really
Too.
important.
And passion. We want passion, right?
Yeah.
Lots of passion,
Ah,
chemistry, and then open, honest communication. That's it. If you have all those five elements, your relationship can last forever. You can have everlasting love.
God, there's hope for us, Julie.
There is hope for us. It's coming. I believe it. Yeah, it's interesting. I reflect on like, my parents just had their 50th wedding anniversary and, my Nana and Papa were together for years. And, nowadays the divorce rate is so high. And on one hand, I see like, I think it's important that women are finding their voice and like, leaving relationships that maybe weren't great. And then on the other hand, I do see sometimes, yeah, the communication just isn't there. And it's like, how can we talk through this and grow and evolve together? Because I mean, listen, I grew up on like the late 90s, early 2000 rom-coms and Cinderella. So I realized too, I've idealized relationships for a long time, right? But at the end of the day, I think timing too and finding someone that, yeah, those five things are good. Friendship, trust, respect, passion, and communication. It's beautiful.
So, where do you see yourself in 5 years, Julie?
Oh. I really hope to just continue. For me, the journey really became a spiritual one, as I've mentioned. And I want to just stay open and curious to diving deeper into that and seeing what unlocks for me there. I want to keep writing and creating and spreading this message of love. And I hope that I could speak to women and like on a grander scale in 5 years about, yeah, doing that inner work and going on. To me, the journey for love is a spiritual one, and that's what life is literally all about. And so I just want to keep spreading that message, hopefully on a grander scale. And in 5 years, I'd love to have a little a man and a kid or two by my side.
Wow, that's beautiful. I'm sure you'll have all of those things that you want and conceive and believe,
Thank you.
manifest. Yeah.
With all
Thank
your
you.
experiences with all of these people that you've met through The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, what's your biggest takeaway for good and bad?
We all just want to be loved, I think that the biggest take is we crave connection and love and yeah, and then I think like sometimes we could be our biggest villains, right? And so just yeah, I think human connection is like what's most important.
Were
And
they there though for love, or I'm sure a lot of people were there for publicity? People have
yeah, I mean,
different
listen,
reasons to be there.
you get all sorts of characters on the show for
What's
sure.
your worst character that you've met in your history, and what's the
But
best?
again, I mean, here's the thing, even the worst character is putting on this persona and this whatever it might be, but at the end of the day, probably because he didn't get the right love as a kid, right? Like it all comes from
Right.
deeper wounds. And so yeah, that was probably the hard part for me about reality TV is when we like take that and create a storyline and like whatever, where really I rather sit with them and like get to the deeper understanding of where that wound comes
Right.
from, which is why like I'm kind of taking that old work I did and similar storytelling elements from like let's look at your backstory, right?
Of
And
course.
and see like where these things come from and like how can we rewrite it going forward? Let's do
Which is always childhood. Am I right, ladies?
a lot in childhood. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Ava.
Well, yes and no. Yes, we are traumatized from childhood, but you can't use that as an excuse
Yeah.
not to find true love and happiness and peace of mind. So I was actually just going to ask Julie, what's one thing you do every day that gives you that incredible inner peace that you have now?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I meditate every day. And just even just like 10 minutes of mindful breathing and a meditation. And I also try to journal every day. Um, like I do my like morning pages where I just what does my soul want to know today? And I'll just free write for like 5 minutes and just see what comes through. That's been really powerful for me too.
Oh, that's beautiful. You talk to your soul. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Very good
Yeah.
advice.
Can we go back to this because this is sticking in my head? The trauma. Dr. Ava, can you tell Julie your personal story a little bit of being with the nuns and some of that? Because this, what I get out of this is people can have personal trauma and still make a career on changing their childhood. And I think men need to hear this too.
Well, I think a lot of good comes from adversity. So, yes, I was raised by strict nuns. I was programmed to believe that sex was evil and you should never, ever touch your body, you'll go to hell. And that if I ever kissed a boy, a baby would pop out of my mouth. I mean, it was ludicrous what I was taught. And consequently, I knew nothing about love. And I had terrible relationships with men, very abusive. And I thought that was normal until I made it my mission to find out everything I could about love and relationships, intimacy, and human sexuality. And that brought me to where I am today. So I'm actually very grateful for all of my suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, and that's where like, yeah, your backstory is who makes you you, and how
Mhm.
do you take that to do something beautiful, to find your passion in life. And right now I'm getting a lot of, I'm getting some hate for sharing what happened with Peter and I in my book. But to me, like the work I feel called to do now with women and overcoming your shame and going deeper, like you can't, we find our purpose by our backstory and by what's happened and these sort of life struggles. And so it only makes sense. Like I'm sure you share that story with your clients because it helps to relate and connect, and it's who's made you you, which is so wow. I can't even imagine.
And
Yeah.
it got worse because her father then came and picked her up from the orphanage, and he was even worse abusive.
Oh,
But I'm
yeah.
thankful. I really am. I'm
That
grateful.
made her who she
Yeah.
is.
And I don't think there's any mistakes in life. I think everything is a lesson.
Yeah,
I,
it is.
and you, Julie, are sharing your lesson and
Yeah.
your success. You're not a victim in any way. You knew what you were doing. And what I love about you the most is that you keep saying, why? Why did I do this? And a lot of people don't think about why.
Yeah.
There's even an institute called the Why Institute that has amazing quizzes to find out why you do what you do in your relationship, in your work, in your life.
Yeah.
I think that's a very important question that we should all ask ourselves and answer it.
Yeah.
What was the hate that you've gotten from women? I'm just curious. Like, give some examples of,
Are they just women or are they men as well?
or men, both, whatever,
Well,
whatever.
it's
I don't
the
know. I know
men.
what Peter said, but
It's the men from Bachelor Nation that have slammed me.
so most of the men, have they congregated here to do this? Or is it individual men just doing this by themselves, or are they together, or what?
Well, one guy talked about it on on his podcast and just went on a 45-minute rant, like making really harsh, terrible claims about me.
Like, can we have an example? Because most people haven't seen this or
Yeah, saying that I groomed Peter Weber, that I produced him for my own, like seduced him for my own
Mhm.
purposes and things like that. Yeah.
So putting the blame on you for manipulating, say, Peter in this case, and they spoke up because they're friends with Peter, or they also felt that way.
Oh, I think he's a polarizing personality himself, and I think it's just, he was a bachelor before, so he understands the role of the lead, but he doesn't
Mhm.
know my story and he didn't read it. Again, someone I offered to let read and he didn't read it. And then Peter, because I think he's hurt and angry, chimed in with a comment about something I did during the season to produce him.
Which was what?
He said he said something about me saying he was going to look like an idiot if he chose a certain girl. But you know what Peter doesn't understand and is either of them. Like to make it seem like I'm the one who's like making these calls is crazy. I was a producer, I wasn't even a supervisor at the
You being
time.
ordered by anyone to make certain calls?
Yeah, I have supervisors, co-executive producers, executives at the network. I
Right.
have
So
like
you
about 20 people
yeah.
telling me.
What was the other girl, Hannah, or who was the other girl that you're talking about? I don't know
Oh,
who.
different. They're all named Hannah.
They're all named Hannah.
This is a different Hannah. This is a Hannah Ann. Yeah.
So what about the women comments? Are they
Well, and then okay, and then another bachelor made a tick like a Instagram like being like if you support this book, it's lame. And then another one's like, oh my God, this is terrible. But again, none of them have read it. None of them like saw my heart. All of them are just speaking probably from their own wounds from whatever happened with them, or I don't know. But again, like and ego. I think it's ego and just people in their 3D matrix, if you will. Uh, but what happens is, you know, it reaches millions of people, and so suddenly I'm getting comments from people calling me a pedophile and calling me a terrible person and delusional, and which I think is a great compliment, by the way. Delusion is
better be a
the
little delusional?
manifesting.
They're
What?
talking about you. So that means, that it is a compliment. It's a definite emotional, mental compliment. And if you don't allow those hateful, comments to go into your mind, then you are in complete control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder. And it was hard at first because I think I am like an empath, and when you see it, it's hard not to like,
Take it in.
yeah. So, but I've been getting better at my clearing practices.
Right.
And again, if people aren't talking about you in that way, you're probably not like, yeah. When they are, it means I think I'm doing something actually right.
I,
And so I'm staying with that, and I wholeheartedly believe that. And again, the message of my book is really overcoming that shame and finding my voice and sharing my heart and sharing my truth. And it's also a spiritual journey back to God. People aren't realizing that. Like, yeah, the A story is my romantic journey for love, but the B story under it all is it was my journey back to God and the unconditional love within. And I'm really proud of that, and I'm proud of the journey that got me here. And I will keep using my voice, and I will keep staying in my truth, and the right people are going to find me. They already have. I've gotten such beautiful messages from women.
yes, I've seen a lot of them. It's much more on your team actually than not. So maybe there's going to be some naysayers, but at the end of the day, you really believe in love and you're enlightened. You're like an angelic spirit, I think, and I know that's what's coming across. But it's the naysayers that cause all this stir, and some of these people are just doing that because of their own history. Wouldn't you think, Dr. Ava?
Well, either that or they're jealous. There's lots of different reasons why people talk negatively. They're judgmenting you, they want to humiliate you, they're definitely jealous of your success. And so you just have to not dwell upon it and not allow it to become negative self-talk. So I give my mind, I call my mind a friend. It's not an enemy, it's a friend. So when it talks to me, it only says friendly things. I
Yeah.
don't hear bad things. But before we go, I was just interested to find out from Julie, if you were to manifest your next love relationship, what qualities would he have?
Yeah. I'm like, ooh, let's talk about it. Well, it's interesting because it's shifted since I finally did the inner work, and I think that's why it's so important for a woman to like finally do that inner work. 'Cause it has shifted. Like spirituality used to not be so important to me, but it is now. I need a guy who's, it doesn't have to be like this way or that way, someone just who's open and curious to the wonders of the universe and a higher power and is a lifelong learner in that. For me, that's really important. Um, and someone who just makes me feel like taken care of and loved upon and that we're partners together and we're like growing together and and in this journey together. And I also love like the youthful, like adventurous spirit. That's always going to be important to me. But yeah, I mean, I could keep going, but yeah, really,
I love
it's
that.
yeah, I'd say that's a good
What
summary.
would just another couple of questions, then I'll let you go. I know you're on a time schedule, but um, what would you want men to learn about your experience? And in particular, let's throw Peter into that. What would you really want him to learn from this? Take away all the everything that's been said and done. What's the end that we should learn from your experience with a man on a show that's watched by kabillions of people? So you're in the spotlight. What is it?
What do I want?
You want us guys to learn, first of all.
Um, um, I think, just I think being able to express yourself and feel all these emotions and let them come out. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable and share your heart. I think that's just like a really important thing, like using your voice and also finding that inner peace. Again, I think for men, I think they just put up a front so much, right? They kind of I was very much in my masculine energy for so many years. I was really in my masculine because I was very shielded and like I'm cool and what like kind of like a guy. And I think it's if they could just like reconnect with their heart space and feel into that, and again, always coming from the heart, not from the ego. I think that would be yeah, turning it to a place of love. And how can you view this from a place of love and trying to have compassion and understanding instead of anger?
And what about women's take?
Well, it's very similar. I think just getting out of our own way and just surrendering to love and trusting that inner voice and doing your own inner reflection and healing and yeah, again, it's just this idea that like if we can move about our lives from a place of love and compassion and all that we do, um, that to me is like the key to life and the key to happiness. And it starts by doing your own healing so that you don't get angry and triggered.
So as we close out soon, and Dr. Ava, I want to hear your always your opinion, but talking only about Peter because I would like you to say something now that here's my feeling. I think you and Peter are going to reconcile, not as lovers or whatever necessarily, but even maybe, you never know. Okay, I've seen crazier things. But as friends and maybe even working together, what would you say to him now to be more cajoling in terms of, I would like to be your friend if you feel that way.
Hmm. Listen, yeah, it hurts. Doesn't feel good that he's like angry and doesn't want to forgive me. Like that doesn't feel good because I know him and I are very similar people. We have very similar outlooks on life and we have very similar values and joys for what we want out of our life. And I think, and again, this idea that we're all mirrors, I think like we were really mirrors for one another. And my guess is that he in typical like man mode, probably hasn't really I'm sure he's done some therapy and done a little bit of work, but hasn't really like gone deeper into it. And I think that what I've written and what I've shared is probably bringing up old wounds and old triggers. I think there's a part of him that probably did really care about me. I do think like we really cared for one another. And then he probably has since reflected and seen like the producing side of what I did and probably holds on to a lot of resentment there. And I'm happy to have an open, honest conversation with him about that. Obviously, there's, a lot of that is also what led me to leave the show because like the producing side and the manipulation isn't true to my heart and wasn't aligned with my purpose. And that's like a big part of why I also left. And so I think there's a lot of probably misunderstanding and his own pain from that time period that like we never fully sat and talked about. And if you wanted to, I'd be happy to.
So are you putting out an invite now, potentially to Peter, where you're saying you are open to having a friendship and a conversation and to forgiveness?
Yeah, of course. I would love that. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Ava, any last words?
Well, yeah, I think I'd like to know where people can book Julie around the world as a global speaker. So where should we send people?
Thank you. Yes, my website is theloveproducer.com. So you could go on there and read all about my offerings and reach out there. And then on Instagram, I'm Julie LaPlaca, JulielAPlaca. And my memoir, The Love Producer, is out now wherever books are sold.
Excellent.
Yes.
It's been really illuminating, enlightening for me as a guy to hear you, and the fact that you have forgiveness in your heart always, I think,
Yeah.
I get out of this conversation is amazing. And thank you for joining us this morning.
Oh, thank you for having me. And
We're all
Dr.
waking up from the weekend, so I really appreciate your time.
I know, Monday morning, it's
Right?
good. Got
All
started
right.
early.
Thank you, Dr. Ava, as always. You're amazing. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon.
This is Men Talk 2.
Welcome to the Ultimate Certified Love Coach program. It's one powerful certification that includes all 4 disciplines: the love coach, the relationship coach, the healing coach, and, of course, the master sexpert. If you enroll today, you will get immediate access. You can train at your own pace. You can study from anywhere in the world. Use Love Spring as your code to get 50% off. So you will only pay $2,485. All you have to do is scan the screen right now to receive this incredible special offer. So do it now.
This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. I'm just a man and your friend. I'm not a licensed therapist nor a doctor, and this podcast is not intended to take the place of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or professional. Got it? Good. I'll see you in the next episode of Men Talk 2 MT2.